little bit of background on us. I've been married to a very tolerant, loving man for 15 years. Like Clara said, I have 2 children. My son is 14 and a half. He is a sophomore, and he is also doing college courses. My 12-and-a-half-year-old daughter, she skipped 7th grade, so she's in 8th. We'll have her in high school this coming year. Although, you know how homeschoolers are, we're in many different grades at one time. She is doing some high school level already as well. My son skipped kindergarten, and people ask me how I didn't know that they could do that, but he was actually 5 years old when he started 1st grade in the public school. First year was phenomenal. Great teacher, fresh out of school, she was wonderful. Second year, not so much. It was a not good thing. He would come home defeated from school every day, and it wasn't because he couldn't keep up, which is what I was thinking. It was because we had a teacher who didn't believe in grade advancement, who ironically was part of a panel to put him in there in the first place. They voted unanimously to do so despite his age, and I thought, I don't know any better. He's my first child. I don't know anything about anything. And the pediatrician told us we may have to homeschool him because he thinks differently than how they teach in school, and I said, there's no way, because I'm going to kill him. I do not have the personality for it. It is not going to happen. Never say never, because this is now our 8th year. It has been a wonderful, incredible journey. I've gotten so much more out of this than I ever expected that I would. I know the good Lord brought us to it. Which is great. This is a Christian group, so I can talk openly about all of that. So despite the fact that I am not a public speaker, I felt that I was drawn here to do this today. I am by no means an expert in any of this. My son is a sophomore. I still have a couple more years of this to get everybody underneath my belt here and see how this all goes. But what I hope to do here is to give you just some of the successes and the failures that we've had, some of the things that we've discovered. First, I'd like to ask you all, just so I can get an idea, do we have anyone that already has a current high schooler that we're homeschooling? Okay, what grades are they in?
Sort of 10.
Sort of 10? Yeah, 10. Okay, how about middle school? Anyone getting ready to put one in high school? How many are not even close to having anyone near high school? Okay, and is there anyone in this room absolutely terrified to homeschool high school? Because that was me. So what I'm going to do here, I actually plagiarizing a little bit, but it was, I don't know if you guys have ever gone down to any of the homeschool conventions, the Midwest Homeschool Convention down in Cincinnati. If you have never been to it, I highly recommend it. The one this year is April 9th through 11th. I've gone there 5 times, maybe. There is so much information to get down there, besides the fact there's like 500 curriculum vendors that'll just blow your mind when you go there. I recommend going with someone. The first year I went down, there were half as many vendors. I didn't sleep for 3 days. Just too much information. And there's wonderful speakers, absolutely wonderful speakers. Are you familiar with Dr. J. Weil, who wrote the Apologia books? Okay, he's a friend of mine. We met down there. I'm actually going to take some of the information that he gave that was very helpful to me and explain that to you guys as well as we go along, because he did some reviews on a lot of the curriculum as well, and he's especially for math, which ones were weaker, which ones were stronger, something that maybe you should look at, based on, I've got very visual children. We have a video math program that we do that's been very wonderful. So I will get started on this. Can I teach middle school and high school? This is information that I got from Dr. J. Weil, and it is most definitely true. No, you cannot teach all things in all subjects. As you are getting to the high school level, and as you're proceeding through your homeschool journey, your role is going to change. So while they're younger, you are the teacher. As they start to get a little more independent, we move into the tutoring phase. And then eventually they're going to pass you up and you're going to be a fellow learner if you are so inclined to learn what they're doing. My son's in chemistry. I haven't done that since I was in 10th grade. I can't help him. Not at all. Also by this time, they're starting to develop their own coping mechanisms for weaknesses, developing their own ways to remember some of the information. That's a good thing. That's a good thing for them to be able to figure that out. Eventually, you're not going to be there for them anyway, and they're going to have to be able to do this. Can I help my child learn? Yes, you can, even in high school, even in college. My son is doing college level work. We're still helping him with college level work. Sarita Holzman from Sunlight, I don't know if you guys are using Sunlight, but she had this great quote in here I'd like to read here. But these last 4 years at home can be an unparalleled opportunity to reap the academic, spiritual, and relational rewards you've been praying for since your children were born. Yes, teenagers can be challenging, but I'd like you to think of challenging teenagers as something you do, not something they are. Set the bar high and enjoy the chance to challenge your teenagers. That's one of the best reasons to homeschool them, actually. You can help them rise above society's expectations as they mature in godliness, serve others, refine critical thinking skills, and hone unique gifts and talents at new levels. There are some of these wonderful positives that really have to do with all of homeschooling, not necessarily high school, but these are some things that you may want to consider. And if you're having some down days, this might be a good thing for you to remember. But high school could be the last opportunity for you to really have and spend significant time with your children before they go out into the world. You are their primary role model. You can provide a higher quality program that matches their interests and strengths, and you will see that quite a bit, especially in the high school years, because you're going to get to the point where you're like, I don't even know what this curriculum is about, and you're going to have to just kind of let them go on their own. There's different times that they're going to start breaking away from you, and this is one of those times, unfortunately, as sad as that is, but it's also a good thing because they're developing into the independent adults that they will be. You can set the bar higher, post-secondary classes, reading more, that's great. You want to spark a natural motivation to learn. As the student reads, you encourage a love of learning that will last a lifetime, and that is infinitely more valuable than high school credits. Experiencing real life, interacting with different age levels, flexible schedules, field trips, job shadowing, which I'm sure all of you are seeing now. They engage in activities that are relevant to develop vital skills and deep relationships rather than a standard list of forgettable activities. Employers and universities often look at students' extracurricular activities and life experiences just as much as their grades. You know, you've got all these kids coming out and they're all, oh, we're 4.0 and we're this and that, and everybody else is coming, they're all going for that same job or that same university opening there for students. Everybody's got the same grade point average, or everybody's doing that. How are your kids standing out from the crowd? And it's actually from the extracurriculars that they are now looking for more so than their grades. I found that very interesting. I recently was doing some reading on that, and that's what they're looking for. And also, as a little side note, if your children are on social network, they are looking into their social network profiles to see what they are posting and deciding whether or not they want to have them. There was an article just recently about girls that were using Twitter. They were very skilled at their sport. They were in line for very high scholarships, and one of them was posting things that was not appropriate. She lost her scholarship. And it's really sad that one tweet out there, one post on Facebook, one not thinking that day, put something out there that was inappropriate and lost that which is going to be, that could have been a life-changing opportunity. So be careful about what your kids post. Mine are on social media, mine are on Facebook. They hardly ever get on it, but I do monitor all of that. But also at home, we are training leaders, not followers. So those are just some of the nice little positives, but we're going to get into some of the requirements now for a college prep high school. If you guys are interested in these notes at all, you don't really have to take notes unless you'd like to. I've got to figure out how to send you all this information. Since I'm just learning the PowerPoint, I can actually send you the PowerPoint. But I'll ask later if you guys want to give me your email addresses or whatever, and I'll try to send those to you. Okay, minimum requirements for college prep high school. This is the type that they need to know. They need to know these to graduate. These are their requirements. You can look on the Ohio Department of Education to find out what they are. Some of them are changing for anyone that is graduating 2018 and beyond. So I kind of have this as just the basic model, how this is going. Pay particular attention to at the foreign language. It's 2 to 3 years for foreign language, but if you switch languages, you have to add that extra year on. You can't just go, okay, so you're going to start off with German because that's great and that's what we do, but they're not really taking a German. So after that first year you switch, you have to do another 2 years of language. You have to have 2 years of a language. Also familiarity with computers, that's also very important. Philosophy and religion we can add on, so that's a great thing. And I'm going to go through each of these requirements because there are some things that you really don't need text for that I found very interesting. I'm sorry if I'm boring. I've got so much information to get out there, but okay. 4 years of English and library skills. It is important for them to know where to find the information, even if you don't. The internet is fabulous, but there's also information that you can get through the library system that a lot of them don't know that they can get into to check out. They do offer computer courses here and library and research classes. Actually, my friend Pierre teaches them. But these are the types of things that you really want to stress when you're doing these. So vocabulary. Once you get to high school, you've got your dreaded SATs and the ACTs that are coming. So as soon as you start with high school, you'll want to start using vocabulary lists over those couple of years that they are familiar with that they will be using on the test. So you can use Barron's SAT review book. We also use Wordly Wise. I know a lot of people, I've seen a lot of people using the Wordly Wise. Those are really good too. Writing, you want to focus on all phases of writing, but there's particular emphasis on research papers and using the library and being able to find that information, the internet research. We use the Institute for Excellence in Writing. If you have any reluctant writers, this is a very good program. My son, and he's not here, I don't mean to embarrass him if he hears any of this or sees the recording, but he would cry if he had to write one sentence. And I didn't know what to do. And I don't really teach, I don't grade the writing at all. And I know a lot of people would find that very unusual that we don't do that, but I think that it's more important to get those ideas on the paper than to sit there with the red pen and start correcting everything. We started using Institute for Excellence in Writing. We use their program. I don't grade. But he went from crying for writing a sentence to saying, a 4-page report, that's nothing, Mom. So everybody's got editors. College, high school, professional writers, everybody's got editors, everybody looks over it. Spelling, strangely enough, is not as important as what it used to be, although I do stress that. My daughter is not that great of a speller, but that's okay. You know, that's fine. Maybe there's a processing issue there that I was not made aware of. But that's okay, we're working on it. And so I have the website there too if you're interested in looking into IEW. They are fabulous. My daughter moved right into the program. She said, writing's fun, and so now that's what she uses. You also want to emphasize good grammar. Okay, 4 years of math. Again, this is something that Dr. Weil was going over these. I don't know if any of you are using Saxon Math. As he was reviewing these, he found that Saxon is very easy to use, but they are weak in some areas. What particular areas those are, I don't know. We do not use Saxon Math. Math UC is a little better, but has some weaker math problems in that as well. And then Singapore Math is really good, but it takes a lot of your time and it's hard to reconcile with other programs. So if you're going to go and you decide that that's not working for you and you want to go to a different program, you're not going to be at the same level in those other programs that you were in the Singapore Math, whether higher or lower. And they also take from different areas. So you're going to have some algebra here, you're going to have some geometry here, you're going to have this over here. So it's going to make it a little more difficult for you to reconcile that if you're moving into another program. Okay. Video Text Interactive is the best video course he has seen. This is what we use. When we got to the algebra level, I asked my son, I said, you know, you've got to do algebra. You can either have me teach it to you or you can have a video done. You can watch the lecture and they'll do it for you. He said, Mom, I love you, but I think I'd rather watch the video. So, not only do they have it where you can order the books, eBay's got a lot of that stuff, you can get those things, but they also have the online version. This year for chemistry and trigonometry, we're using the online version. This was our first foray into the computer programs like that, actually doing the curriculum from the site. So far it's working out, but I like to have books with paper that I can keep going back to. I'm not, into all the 21st century stuff as far as that goes. But we're working on it. It's good. I can just pull them up, it will, but there is a code that you go in and you can actually use it for more than one student, which works out nicely. When you get to the next student there, it's 2 years, my daughter's 2 years behind my son. Now when we get to hers, we just call and we say, okay, hey, turn it back on. I've got another one starting. And they said, okay, and they turn it back on, and there you go. We get it again. Their course is fantastic. If you're interested in that, I can talk to you more about that later. Abeka and Bob Jones are good, but someone needs to know the math. So if you're not really strong in math, that might not be the program that you want, but that's up to you. If you like it, if that's what you want to do, by all means, but this is just something that he had discovered. And help with any curriculum, you can look into the Khan Academy. I don't know if you guys have heard about all of that, but they have all kinds of subject matter that you can look up how to do those things. Science, 4 years of that. Obviously, Apologia is the top choice for him because he wrote it. But so far, we've had 2 years. We've done biology, and my son's in chemistry, and we've used that. I actually have someone that is wonderful that teaches it to my children. And it's been fantastic. But a little note to this, if you're going to be using the chemistry, the second edition is better than the third edition for the chemistry. Dr. Weil reviewed it. He's no longer affiliated with them, so this edition came out. Somebody else did the revision on that. And he does, Dr. Weil, when he wrote in the second edition, they use scripture in there when it's pertinent to what is being talked about. In the third edition, they add a lot of extra that does not go with that necessarily, and also they consolidated chapters. So in your first chapter, you may have chapter 1, 2, and 3 from the original versions, which is fine, and if you want to do it accelerated like that. However, a homeschool parent is not going to know what you can take out of there and not teach versus what you really should be getting out of that. So he actually recommends doing the second edition. I don't know if you guys know who Hetty Larkin is. She's a wonderful, wonderful woman. She actually teaches my children, or at least my son to this point, in the biology and the chemistry. But they go and they do that. I'm not so good at all that stuff. I can't do chemistry anymore. Bob Jones and Abeka can work for you, but most colleges want to see lab work. So video labs do not count in their minds. The spectrum, I don't even know what that is. It's good if your student is not college bound. Since my children, I would like to go to college, I didn't even consider that. That wasn't even an option for us. 1 year of health and phys ed. This is not a science course. It's nutrition, exercise, healthy lifestyle, sex education would work here. Also, recreation center classes, organized sports, museum classes can be used. If you have not utilized the classes at the Strongsville Rec Center for sports, they have basketball, they have ice skating, they have hiking, and they also have dodgeball. I highly recommend it. We've been doing the dodgeball for 3 years, and we're going to do this till my kids graduate. And the parents can play. And they recommend it. And it's fun, and it is the only physical activity I get during the week. But the kids enjoy it because they get to hit you with the ball, but you get to hit them too. So it's good. My son and I, we go head to head all the time. I love it. Although he did hit me square in the face the other day. So actually I've been hit 4 or 5 times, and at least half of them have been from him. Okay, history. This is not part of what Dr. Weil does. This is some information that I've gotten over the time and what we have used, and then I'll explain what he does, which is what we're going to do for next year. First year of U.S. history. A lot of what we're finding now is revisionist history. We use the Patriots History of the United States by Dr. Larry Schweikert. He has also done some speaking engagements down there at the conventions. He is the only conservative professor down at Dayton. He's also a rock musician, but he's quite an interesting character. Really enjoyed the guy. But he has this book, and the classical historian, if you really want your kids to do critical thinking skills, the classical historian is a curriculum that you want to take a look at. They actually use this book, and if you tell him that you know about Dr. Schweikert, he'll give you a discount too. So that is really good, but it's a really fantastic program, especially if your kids are really enjoying history. A lot of good things. When you sign up, you get an email. He'll send current event emails so that you can talk to your children about stuff that's already happening, things that are currently going on. It's a really great thing for you to take a look at. World history, we use knotgrass. Are any of you familiar with knotgrass? This curriculum gives you 1 credit each for English, history, and religion. They have writing components in there. They have lots of reading. You can actually order all their books, or you can get on Amazon and you can get the free downloads, or maybe it's 99 cents or $1.99, but it may be a lot cheaper for you to do it, that way, or to come to the library and reserve those books. You don't have to necessarily buy them from them, but it's been great, and there's a lot of Bible reading in that. I think my son knows more than I do about it now, so just from doing that program. 1 year of geography, we use Cetera Online. Cetera is an online quiz and puzzle site. You can download it, which is what we did, and it's great. It comes up and it starts off with US, but you can do it in small sections. So if you just want to work on the New England states, you can do that. And I told my kids if they could beat my score, I will give them something. And I got 100%, and my time was good. I did all 50 states. I could do the capitals, do the whole deal. In less than a day, my children beat me by such an incredible amount of time, it wasn't even funny, because it was like, Mom's going to give us something. So I want to beat Mom's score. It may have been a piece of chocolate. It may have been, $1. And, I don't know. It was different for whatever. But you can start off with the U.S. and work your way through the entire world. And now I go, hey, where is this country again? No, it's in the Middle East, Mom. Or, it's in Africa. It's a little island off the coast of whatever. So, and they're getting it by these games. It's very visual and it's fun. You can grade it, not grade it, doesn't really matter. I kind of grouped that in there with our history anyway. 1 year of government, we have not started yet. That will be next year. Knotgrass can be used here, and they also recommend Diana Waring's books at Answers in Genesis. I did have the opportunity to hear her and Dr. Weil speak together at the last convention. It was really a great thing to go and listen to, and they're really fun to play off each other, but they're both very, very knowledgeable. Okay, but this is what Dr. Weil did, okay? For U.S. history and world history, he found an encyclopedia timeline of major events, jumbled them up, and had his daughter put them in chronological order. If she knew the event, the major players, and their significance, they moved on. If not, she wrote a report or answered 20 questions he wrote out. So you don't even need to go and get curriculum for any of that. You go and you find a timeline, you jumble up the stuff. If your kid can do it and they know who the major players are, great, wonderful, you're all done. If not, you can go over it again. You could do what he did here, questions, whatever. Geography, his daughter looked in the newspaper once a week, found a new locality. Then she had to write a one-page essay on where it was, the significance to the world, the economic base, and what kind the government had. The reason why we hadn't done it to this point is because I forgot about all my notes, and I thought that probably would have been a lot easier for me to do for them than what we were doing. Government, this is what we're going to do. His daughter spent 1 semester paraphrasing the U.S. Constitution. She also wrote some essays on how bills become laws, the difference between democracy, republic, etc. We will be doing this. You can also do this with the Declaration of Independence, and you pretty well have all of government covered. So that's kind of a fun one. 1 year of arts, music, or craft, music lessons, 4-H, those work well here. Philosophy and religion, if you'd like to add that on to your transcript, apologetics is ideal. Knotgrass fulfills the religion requirement. You can also do your Bible study. Anything you read with the Bible, any kind of biblical text, you can put all of that in there. Foreign language. The Learnables is excellent. We use Rosetta Stone and it's very good. They have a homeschool program. We got a deal. They had 1 through 5 all of the years, and I think it was like $300 or something like that. It was a really great deal. However, every time they go and they do an update, we get an error message and can't pull it up. So you have to turn your computer off and then turn it back on and it resets itself. If not, you get on the live chat and have to work with it. It's been a pain. My kids are learning, but it's been a pain in the butt so far. It's still a great program, but that may be something that you want to consider. And also, I believe someone else here in this room teaches Spanish. Okay, familiarity with computers. There's pretty much no way at this point that your kids are going to be able to get away with not knowing anything about computers. Probably most of them do anyway, if you have iPads or laptops or whatever and your kids are on them. But they really should need to know word processors, spreadsheets, the internet, and the library offers free classes here. My friend Pieri, she's from PC Computing. She actually teaches the classes here. My kids, believe it or not, learned PowerPoint and advanced PowerPoint, but they were too busy to teach me how to do it for this engagement here today. Homeschool programming is a great programming curriculum that we are using. If your kids are interested in computers, if they want to do programming, they want to be software engineers, any of those types of things, they have web design, they have all kinds of great things. We have already utilized it, and the only one we haven't done so far is the web design. But the first half of the year is web programming. The second half of the year is game programming. The very first one was Visual Basic Programming. I didn't have to help them with it at all. Even with my daughter, who's not the computer savvy one. They were making their own Pong game. They did a piggy bank where if you put the money in it, it computes it for you to tell you how much you have in it. That one was a great one. The second year we did C# programming. That was really great. They have videos that go along with it. They have the tutorials, and your kids could pretty well do a lot of this on their own. You may have to, kind of step in it, here and there. But it's a great program. They have it down there, and usually when you get stuff down at the conventions, you get a discount. Or if they're not there, like this past year I went down, homeschool programming was not there, and I contacted them, said, hey, I was really disappointed to see that you guys weren't there because that's where I always get my curriculum. They sent me the code and I got a discount. So that's a great thing. Another one that we're utilizing right now is HTML, that's the internet programming. If your child likes to program, the first online class is free. And it is from FortHuntParent.com. They are based out of Virginia, and it's very easy. The first one's great, kind of gets their feet wet a little, see if that's something they might like to do. You can start that whenever they have a class. It's only like, I don't know, it's like 10 lessons or something like that. So it's not that big of a deal. And if they like it, you can go on and move into the Young Programmers Club. You could start doing the advanced one. I don't know how computer savvy you all here, but HTML5 is what is currently being used on the internet. My son is doing that class. They have one that's called CSS, and then there's another advanced one. I don't even know. He just goes from one to the other, just goes through. But the neat part about it is either you can review their work and say, oh, this is what I didn't want to do, and say, oh yeah, my kid did it. Click. Okay, so I verified, yep, it's done. We get emails sent to us that says, Bunch-in, completed lesson, whatever it was. And there's feedback for them after each lesson, so they can say, yes, this was easy, yes, I can understand it, or not. And if they thought it was just hard enough, too hard or too easy, which was very nice. Then at the end, they get a certificate. You can either print one out for free, or they have something with distinctions. I chose to do this, it was $12, because I wanted as many distinctions as possible on this certificate so that I can show that when my kids go away to college and we have to have a portfolio of all of their high school work. I could say, look, we did this. He's a programmer in this group. He was in the debugging zone, so he helped other students debug their programs that didn't work. But it's a lot of fun, they seem to enjoy it, it's easy, and we're just going through all the ones that they offer. And they just started one today where he has like it's like a chat room sort of, but this was a picture of the Oval Office, and the teacher's head was at the thing, and all the kids can come in there and they can talk to each other and do some chatting. They have one that's Hogwarts, if you guys, are into any of that, they have one like that as well. But you continue on to the advanced classes. It does cost for the advanced classes. It's $50 for one, or you can do all three of them for $100. If your children are very into technology, this is the way to go. And SAT and ACT review, you can do that through Jean Burke. She's really great. That's a college prep. You want to weave this into your normal schoolwork. Math and English, all colleges recommend SAT 1 except in some College Plus colleges, and I can talk about that a little bit later too. Review books, Barron's SAT review. There's an SAT 2, and that's specific subject tests that you can choose from. Some colleges recommend it, especially for homeschoolers. Start this in 9th grade. There's lots of vocabulary words to learn. And the math starts with arithmetic. So you may need to go back and review some of that stuff with your kids as you go along. For some reason, my son can do higher level math, but when we go back to the easy stuff, it's gone. Just lost it. All college-bound high school students should take the PSAT in their junior year, and you take it for practice in 10th grade. This is the only way to qualify for the National Merit Scholarship. But you need to score in the 96th percentile to even make it into the semifinals for that money. It is the only way to get the scholarship. So that's about 16,000 kids across the country that score that high to move into the semifinals for that. 90% of them go into the finals and could be chosen for that money. Just to be aware, so you know. I didn't even know what it was. I'm like, it's a practice SAT, so we'll just go in there and I'll have my kids, just do it. We didn't really do much prep work before they went into it. He scored average because we didn't really even look at anything, and that's fine. It's really good for just some experience to go in there and do that. Critical thinking skills are extremely important, and study skills. And this is something that homeschoolers may or may not think about. We did not. My children are in College Plus, or my son is right now. When they're doing schoolwork at home, they may not necessarily be thinking about how to take the right kind of notes. You're at home, you're being helped out, you're taking your test, you do well on the test. I can memorize that, no problem. The problem that we found was when you start moving into college level courses, they don't know how to take notes, they don't know what's important, and they're going off of, what they've done to this point to take that test. And then they forget about it, and okay, that's good, we're done, and we move on. When you get to the college level stuff and when they go away, those finals are based on the entire semester for that class. If they don't know how to take good notes, they're not going to do well. We found this out with my son. He was taking the very first class was comparative worldviews for College Plus, which is phenomenal. This is a way for your child to develop what their worldview is, understand other worldviews out there, and be able to articulate what their worldview is. The entire semester, my son missed one problem. He did not do well on the final. He needs to retake it. It is not from lack of knowledge. It is not lack of effort. What we did find is that over an entire semester course, he took 2.5 pages of notes. Because he's going off of what he knows in his head. He's got a great memory, so that's what he's doing. But if your child has test anxieties, like I do, I have horrible test anxiety. If you're going in there, you blank out when you go and you take that test, it's not going to come to you when you need it. And all of these things are timed. They are all timed. When my son was taking his original thing, when he had to do it was a critical thinking assessment, which is awesome. They have the time ticking down in the corner. You know how nerve-wracking that is when you can watch it go down and it's down to 3 minutes and you don't know how many more problems you still have to go? And then he starts blasting through it, not even thinking. There he goes, you know, and you get down to the end and it turns out you didn't score high enough to pass the course. He did so well the entire time. I didn't help him at all. Not at all through the entire semester. He did a college level course on his own, was one. And he didn't do well in the final. So we have to do it over. Memory. Memory is something that you should work on with your children. Another thing that I was not aware of until we got to the college courses, they have a dynamic memory course, which is awesome. They go through each one, like if you're doing math, this is how you remember how to do these. If you're doing a science or a history course, these are some little tricks to learn to remember these. So you can move things a lot quicker. Also what I found is speed reading is also very beneficial. You can get a lot more information. You pair your dynamic memory with your speed reading and you're going to retain a lot more information in a shorter amount of time. I just want to throw that one in there because that's something that we found out. But ACTs, it's better test that includes math, English, and science. Many schools like that better, but some would rather see the SAT, and women tend to score better on this test than the men do. I don't know why that is. Okay, for those of you that are getting close, this is important, and this is usually the scariest part about homeschooling high school, making the transcript. You want to record each subject taken at that grade given. You separate them by semesters. Lee Binns, the home scholar, she's wonderful, wrote this, Setting the Record Straight. This is an entire book on how to do a transcript. I also have brochures from her. I asked her if she would send these along. You guys can get on here now. She even has Facebook, but she has all kinds of questions. She does e-reader books that, you know, they're really short, 20 pages, whatever it is, to give you all kinds of information. So this is a really great outlet for you. Like, how do I make a transcript? Will colleges want to see my homeschool records? Where can I find support for high school? She's wonderful. She sent some pens along too for you guys. Something to remember when you're doing your transcript and you're trying to figure out how much credit you get. A half credit is basically about 60 hours. Full credit is 120 plus hours. A lot of times it can go up to 180, but that's usually when you have lab science courses in there. But you'll also want to include a list of the text or the methodology that you use for each course. Make it as an optional attachment to the transcript, so that only if they ask for it you can send that along, but you want a class description of what you did. Set of requirements. Display those on the transcript. If you did a 90 to 100 as an A, 80 to 89 as a B, you want to make sure that that's on there so they can see how you graded. And keep examples of the student's best work, so you can have that. That's why I really wanted that certificate with all those distinctions on there, because I'm going to take that in there, or have him take that in there, and say, this is what we did. Keep a list of the books read, the title and the author's name. That's all I have. I have the name of the book, and I have the last name. That's it. We've got a huge list of books already going on there. My son came home one day, he hated to read. I thought he wouldn't read anything that didn't have to do with Star Wars. And he came home with Ivanhoe from church. And he said, Mom, I think I want to read this. I'm like, you go for it. The day he finished it, he loved it so much, he picked up Beowulf and started to read that one. You just don't know what's going to get them interested at whatever time. And I thought, you know, I have to talk things about, you know, Emperor Palpatine and, you know, whoever, and this is how we had to do the math, had to draw pictures, but no, he moved on to those little more advanced books. But you also want to keep track of their extracurriculars and awards. Just keep a file folder, put their certificates in it, and then you'll have it there at the end. Types of colleges and universities. Christian colleges and universities are great, but they're not as highly regarded academically as secular colleges, unfortunately. They are more restrictive, and Christian students don't face as much antagonism there because they're very free about what their faith is. This is a Christian college. You can go and openly talk about that. Going to a secular college, I don't know if you've been paying attention to the news lately, but things are not good. But this may be a place where they're more comfortable, but academically they're not as regarded highly as secular colleges. I think we really need to change that, though. Secular colleges and universities, they're more highly regarded academically, but Christian students face a lot of antagonism there. This can be good or bad for the student depending on their maturity level as a Christian. Like I said, College Plus is this comparative worldviews coach, our course that they can take to develop their worldview. If your children are not very strong in their faith, and they're going in there with a lot of questions and they're not getting a lot of answers, they could be very easily swayed. A lot of professors now, they are actively trying to get these kids not to listen to their parents and not to believe in God. It's not everywhere, but it's very prevalent. Does the name of the school really matter? As long as the school is accredited and you have that piece of paper that you have a degree, it's important to employers. You pay more for the popular name schools, the Ivy League schools. You're not necessarily getting a better education, but you're definitely paying more. You know, and there's a lot of businesses that will take you, okay, you have a bachelor's degree, but it's in basket weaving. I mean, that doesn't matter. You've got a 4-year degree, we'll take you. As long as you've got a bachelor's degree in something, we want you. So it's something to consider. Like my son, he has no particular interest in where he goes. As long as they have his major, and he can get that and say okay, and he can get started in his career, that's what he wants to do. Applying to college admissions, you don't really need to touch on this too much because we're kind of far for that. But you get a postcard in the mail when you apply, said your application's being considered, and then you call the admissions office and set up an appointment and talk with a counselor. Okay, what kind of college should you choose? It's private schools are generally more expensive, but they tend to see homeschooling as a plus. That's a good thing for us. State-supported schools, least expensive alternative for college, but they don't like homeschoolers as much. And you need really good SAT and ACT scores. You should consider the SAT too, depending on the school. And you want to try to get an appointment with the admissions counselors recommended by the private schools as well. Okay, college alternatives. Trade schools. Does your child want to be a carpenter? Does your child want to be a welder? By the way, they make $80,000+ a year, welders now. They are actively looking because there aren't many people to do it. Maybe that's something your child enjoys to do. Automotive technology, that's another great one. So those are some options there. Post-secondary enrollment option, you can go during high school and you can get some college courses. You can go to LCCC, you could go to Tri-C. You can also get money to do it, but you need to apply for the aid the spring before. I think it's, I don't know, it may even be January now. January, April, I can't remember. You have to have all of your aid, okay, April?
April 1st.
April 1st. You have to have all of your information in there for the following school year to even get considered for the money. When they changed that for the homeschoolers last year, the year before, they did it after all of the deadlines needed to go in, so when the homeschoolers applied, there was no money left for them. So it's really important to pay particular attention to the deadlines of when all of this paperwork needs to go in. Another option are the CLEP exams, college level exam placement, and the Dantes to test out of classes. That is what my son is doing. That's why he's getting the college credit now while he's a sophomore in high school. College Plus is a really good program, and I'll just explain just briefly what that is. We're starting off with college prep because of his age. After a semester or two, you transition into College Plus, which is their bachelor program. They are a very good Christian company. We pray on our phone calls every 2 weeks. They ask, what can we pray for you about? It could be about anything. They are truly, truly, genuinely concerned about helping your children find what their God-given talents are and how they can use those and focus that into a career choice. They have accountability mentors during prep, and then they have coaches when they are in the College Plus, and we could just move with our coach. He just moves on with us. But every 2 weeks he calls, talks to my son. We do a speakerphone thing so I can be part of the conversation. And he says, okay, this is where we are now. How did this go? You know, what do you think about this? All right, our next call's in 2 weeks. This is what I want you to do. Bop, 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 bop. They give you all those action steps to do. This helps your child to take ownership in their education. If it's Tuesday and their call's on Friday and they haven't completed what they were supposed to complete, they know that they got to get cracking on their stuff. So they work to keep them motivated. When my son didn't do well on his first final, he asked my son, he said, okay, I wasn't there for the call, my husband was, so I'm relaying all of this. He said, how do you feel about this? He said, are you discouraged? He said, if you're discouraged, this is the time when kids start to give up. He said, do you look at this as a learning experience? Because now we look at it and we say, okay, this is what we did, here's what we did wrong, now this is what we're going to do to fix that. We need to work a little harder. Like I said, my son's problem was note-taking. When he started the next thing, he's doing Intro to Sociology. In the first chapter, he had 11 and a half pages of notes for one chapter. So I think we went way the other direction. But he, yes?
I'm sorry, I'm trying to understand what this is. So College Plus is which is what you guys are in,
Yes.
is basically just test out of each subject, because you don't actually physically
You
go to...
No, you do that for the general education courses. You can get quite a few credits, like 90 credits that way. If you choose to go to a different school that is not affiliated, they have about 5 of them. My son is looking into Thomas Edison. You don't even need to take the SAT to get there, so that's a really good thing because you're already doing college credit anyway. They accept all the CLEP exams. Anything that you can't test out of, you can do distance learning, so you can do online lectures. Like the Comparative Worldviews course, the credits for that one actually comes out of Belhaven University. So that's 3 credits. When you finish that, you pass the final. You just contact them. They send you your transcript that shows that you've taken those courses, okay, that course, and you get the credit. Anything that you can't do that off of, they help you find local classes at the local colleges to take those for your major. When you complete those, then you get your transcript, you get your degree. So my son would actually get his degree from Thomas Edison College. They accept all of the CLEPs. There's 33 different CLEP exams that you can take. They accept all of those. He'll get his degree from there. And we can get, they said the average cost for a bachelor's degree doing it this way is $18,500 total.
So he'll never need to actually go to like a regular scheduled class. Okay.
Nope, nope. Unless it's something that, you know, maybe he needs to do some sort of computer lab, or he needs to do something for that degree that we can't do at home, they'll find something local. If you don't want to use the colleges that they have, you can do College Your Way. And what they do there is, they contact that college, find out what CLEP exams they accept, and those are the ones they have your kid do. Walsh University down here at Route 18 by Amazon, they do CLEP exams. My son's scheduled on February 5th to take his first CLEP, and it is $80 for the test and $15 for their proctor fee. Baldwin Wallace also is another location you can take those at, and I don't know how much it costs for them to go there to take it, but when I was talking with the woman getting him signed up for it, she said, she was talking about theirs, it's a private school. She said, we're not the most expensive, we're not the cheapest either. She said, but whatever that class was, she told me, she said it was $1,380 just to take the course. And it's $95 to test out of it. So this may be a possibility, and I mean, it can save you a fortune. That's what we're banking on anyway. This is something that he wanted to do. We did not force him into this. As soon as he heard what the possibilities were, he wanted to do it. He said, I want my bachelor's degree by I'm 18, by the time I'm 18 years old. I said, that is a very lofty goal. We will do whatever we can to do that, but I'm not expecting it. Even if it takes him to 19 or 20 or 21, it's on God's plan, whatever he wants him to do. The fact that he didn't do well in that final, we see that actually as a good thing. We've uncovered a weakness, and we can work with that, and we can help people to see, okay, this may be something that you might want to think of, because we sure as heck didn't. Okay, this was something we uncovered along the way. But that is an alternative. If you guys want to, I can talk to you about that some other time if you want to contact me, or we can do another time. But here are some of the references of the things that I talked about, some of the discussion handouts on drwile.com. That one is when he talks about the reviews of the curriculum that I went over. Transcript help, the Home Scholar, I've got information here, please take it. PSAT, SAT, ACT prep. Jean Burke with College Prep Genius. She does that. She's got some, lectures that you can listen to and some things you can do there. ACT review, you want to contact the College Board or the SAT program. College Plus and College Prep, you get through to both of them by going to the collegeplus.org website. If you want to look into that, just talk to them. Give them a call. There's no obligation to do that. I had Jonathan Hunt, he's the regional admissions director for this side of the country. He came a couple of years ago. I know